Welcome to Finding Fit, a podcast by three best friends and business partners. We're holding nothing back, and we apologize in advance. I'm your host, Angela Beeler.
And I'm your host, Catherine Ballas.
And I'm your host, Emily Field. So grab a cup of coffee, take a shot of whiskey, or pour your favorite glass of Prosecco.
And join us for a conversation about finding your place in this crazy world. And this
is Finding Fit. That was good. That was 100% improvement, even though it was still wrong. No.
I said you're in the DJ spot.
Y'all can just do that for me every time.
Oh.
Now I'm gonna rap because I can and I sound like a robot.
Attention passengers, this is Catherine. I'll be your flight attendant this evening.
This one is
If you
for you.
are ever annoyed with me,
Guys, we literally just took up 10 minutes with that.
Well worth it.
Yes. Those of you who are watching, obviously you see that we have a new setup here, a new Finding Fit setup. We are in a different studio. We have an engineer.
Gabby.
Yes, but we've decided her name is the gift of Gabby.
Yes, the gift of Gabby.
We've got Gabby back there who is engineering this whole thing. We've got Kelly who's grabbing some content for social media. We got the whole setup.
Yeah, so it's a brand new studio here in Waco, Texas, and excited that they're here.
Yeah,
because-
I hope what this allows us to do is just be more consistent with our episodes.
Yeah, Gabby, help.
Well, I think part of it, and we've said it in the past, we were our own production team. And so the podcast is a pet project. It gets the least of us. And when things get busy, it requires a lot of time that we just don't have. So it's been hard. But hopefully this will help create an efficiency that will allow us to produce more content.
Yeah, because these guys are literally doing all of it.
Yeah.
So it takes us out of it. We just get to sit here and play with
things like this.
and
because
that
it
makes me
wasn't,
happy.
it wasn't just finding the time to get together and discuss topics, or it was always the back end. And then
Right.
once it's recorded, then it's actually getting
Yeah.
it to you where you can see it or listen to it. So
Yes.
I do want to make a mental note.
Huge.
Next time I do have to be in your seat.
I know.
can't handle I cannot handle this.
Okay,
here.
so I'm great with that. I would like this.
Oh,
though.
for sure. I
Okay.
don't want that.
So
Yeah,
we'll
that can
just
go on
we'll
the
just
other
flip
side.
it and I'll
Yes.
go over there. Okay,
Yes.
perfect.
Okay.
Well, I'm glad y'all are here today. I do feel weird talking to y'all.
glad
so-
y'all are here today.
Yeah.
Thank you for
Thanks
joining me.
Thanks for coming to my show. No, this is Finding Fit. Welcome. It does feel weird for me to be on this side of the table, so I'll gladly switch with you next time, Angela.
Yeah.
What are we here to talk about, ladies?
I was going to ask the same thing.
Yeah. Well, what we are here to talk about is just to remind our listeners, we are in a season called All the Ships, SHIPS, and we are basically taking all ships and discussing them. So we have talked about what were some of
Friendship.
our friendship
Relationship. We talked with you
with Emily and Tommy.
We did a behind the scenes at Recon. Remember, we had a studio audience. I don't know how that one turned out. That might be called Friction Ship. I don't know.
Wreck ship.
Shipwrecked.
Shipwreck ship.
Yeah. Practically, I don't know, the audio and all that worked. But also,
I don't know that we worked.
I don't think we were our best selves.
There was
which is
a
fine.
lot going on.
There's a lot going on. We had to flip the room. Remember, it was really stressful.
We had to wear 2 mics.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. I don't think the audio was the best.
Oh, right.
And then we asked the people in the studio to not talk. And so then it was just...
And that got really overemphasized. A lot.
but then we just
throughout.
had quiet fans. Quiet studio audience.
Then we needed the buttons to cheer or
Right,
applause.
yes.
Yeah,
So
because they weren't responding at all.
we learned a lot. And I think that was a learning.
Yeah, I still
Ship.
think we should try to figure out if it's
We could use some,
salvageable
yeah.
because, we want to keep it real even when things aren't real pretty.
Yes.
And that episode definitely was not real pretty for a lot of reasons. But so we're sort of in continuum here. There's a lot of options that we want to talk about in terms of all the ships. But we did want to pause and kind of bring everybody into the light here to talk about and set the scene for maybe why we're talking about the Mothership today. The Mothership is our phrase, our nickname, actually given to us by our REFIT community. That's what they call our studio and HQ here in Waco, Texas. And so whenever instructors or fans come and visit the REFIT studio, they often call it coming to the mothership or returning to the mothership. And so I thought we could spend the day talking about maybe how that mothership got created, how it literally got erected, some of the life moments, the funny moments that have happened there. And the reason I think it's important for us to do this right now is because in that moment of reflection, what I hope we find is a lot of joy and a lot of laughter that has been had in that space. Because this past week we experienced some devastating grief in our home, in our REFIT HQ studio, in the mothership. It was not something that any of us had ever planned for, nothing that any of us could have even remotely been prepared for. And so I just want to pause and take a moment to say this episode is dedicated to our shining light, Kathy, who was unexpectedly passed away while visiting the REFIT studio, doing what she loved, dancing and being part of our community. And we are just a little over a week from that event, from her passing. And in the past few days, we've experienced a real palpable sense of community and what it means to be cared for and loved by, and to stand in the grief and the pain together. And so that is what this episode is about. Hopefully it will help us take that grief, that sadness, and repurpose it into remembering and reflecting on the joy that we've had and that will continue.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, when I hear the word mothership, even outside of REFIT context, you think of like a safe haven, like a place that takes care of you and holds you near. And that is what our community has done, not just for us, but for each other. And it's who we've always been. So it was kind of this moment in the last week that really highlighted the very core of REFIT. And if that event had happened 10, 12 years ago, the heart of REFIT would have responded the same way. It was a showcased moment of really not just what REFIT is, but who it is. And
and everybody feels a part of the mothership.
Yeah.
Right.
You know exactly what you're saying. Like, it's not our mothership.
Yeah.
We are not the mothers of the ship. It is a group collaborative effort. And it's why when one person is not there or when there is loss, the whole entity feels it.
right.
So,
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and I think, just kind of stepping in, we built that building for our people, for our community. And from top to bottom, from the moment of its inception, we always wanted it to be a place that felt like home. And I think, how long have we been in the building now?
we acquired it in 2017 and we moved in October 2018.
So 5 years. Is that right? Is that quick and dirty math?
Literally 5 years, like in a couple weeks.
Like
Yeah.
October 24th.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so in that 5 years, we've seen a lot, but what
That feels like last year.
It does. It feels like 2 years ago.
Wow,
And
wow,
it was
wow.
5, which means I moved from my mid 30s to my late in that time. So that's not 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what a transition. I mean, that's for all of us. The past 5 years have been really instrumental in terms of our growth and our community and our depth and all of that. But I want to go back a little bit because I think we have to be very honest, which is to say that
Do I need my chipmunk voice?
no,
I can start talking in this voice.
no. When we grew out of the church, okay, I'm going to go back there. When we grew out of the church, teaching fitness classes there,
When we were trying to find our own fit.
we were trying to find our own fit. We were teaching all over Waco. We then moved into our first studio off of Richland Drive, which was a place that we rented.
Yes, borrowed space.
Yes.
Yeah.
Leased.
Leased.
Yeah.
And I don't know, you guys probably remember, how big was it?
It was
1,600 square feet.
the whole thing was 3,500. The floor itself was like 2,000.
Yeah.
But yeah, the whole place was the size of our current studio.
Yeah. And I kind of feel like that was a moment where it was our first step towards turning a hobby into a business. Because now we were on the line for things like rent and selling memberships.
Yeah, and like looking up like cable providers. Who can give us some internet?
That was a big deal. As the cable provider.
We
You could
contract.
just name other utilities.
Yeah. Who's going to power this building? Water. Is there only one? Are there no other options?
Yeah.
I know. And I remember we like taped off the lights and we spray painted the ceiling ourselves.
We did all of our own renovations.
Yes.
Who laid the
Yeah.
floor?
That'll be my ex-husband. Sounds like Stark.
That guy.
That guy.
Did Cody help him or Tommy?
I don't know.
I remember him being up there by himself.
Probably. Yeah, I think Tommy was playing baseball.
But I don't think he was like trying to coordinate with people and like he wasn't getting
He wasn't reaching out.
right.
Hey, bros.
I think he just like chose the time to go up there.
Yeah.
honestly.
Yeah.
I think he had the most experience with
Yes.
laying wood floor. I
Yeah.
even remember going and like picking out the exact wood floor with the proper subfloor to give the most
Cushion.
impact
Uh-huh.
absorbing
Do you-
experience.
Do you remember where we got that?
I
floor?
remember it had.
It
like,
was a gym.
We got it at Lumber Liquidators.
It's a black and yellow sign.
It's a black and yellow sign, and it was the cheapest because it was on.
It's the old gym floor that I'm thinking of.
We looked into old
may be
gym
another
floors.
option.
We tried, but they were still very expensive. But it was there. It was on like you know when there's like leftover like granite or leftover.
Right.
There was like surplus of this floor, and it was
Yeah.
because our space was so small that it was like, oh, this will work.
I remember them talking a lot about subflooring, which
Yes.
LOL, it's just a piece
pad.
of
foam.
Yeah.
It's like a pad, or there can be like a wood, like a what's that sawdust when it's put together and it makes wood?
Yes,
There can-
cork.
yeah, like that. But
Yeah.
yeah, we had to make sure that that people's knees were supported.
Okay, so we did all of our own renovations. We rented this. Do you remember how much rent was
I do.
each month?
Hold on, I'll tell you.
What
What was our membership?
I know that it would go up. Our membership was $30 a month, and that's like what we crept up from.
Yeah. How did we make money?
I felt
We
like
didn't.
rent was 15 or 1,000.
I could find the final lease. What we were paying
I want to say
by the
we
end,
ended.
it was like $3,000 a month.
What?
It was
No.
yeah, 2,800. I'll look it
No.
up. I'm gonna look it up. But no, I think we were like at
We ever
1,500
broke
before.
too. Yeah, I want to say it went from like 15 to 18. But remember, we also got the mirrors from like Freddie's Glass,
Oh yeah, you had a friend connection.
and then just held them up with the little brackets,
yeah,
the little clear tabs. on
Yeah.
the
I think
side.
also someone had sold their mirrors from a different studio.
But if you stood in a weird spot, it was like a fun house.
wait, we did get those mirrors from
The old studio,
what old studio?
the green one.
Oh, 254?
Mhm.
We did?
Mm-hmm. And then we filled it in with Freddie's. We got
Okay.
the majority of
you're
them from
right,
there.
because it wasn't wide enough. We had to
Same
add
with the
others.
stage.
Oh, that came from 254 too?
Yep.
Okay. Interesting.
We just cut it down like 4 feet.
So backstory, Emily and I went into a venture with another local fitness instructor and we opened up 254 Fitness. Is that right? It was in the back of a CrossFit building. It's back when we were teaching Zumba. And so that was just a little short-lived thing, which was great because I think it gave us a lot of experience in terms of business ownership or gym ownership,
Yeah. Yeah.
But that didn't work out. It was very, very, very short-lived. I think less than a year, right?
Yeah. I want to say it was like summer of 2011.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then she went.
Right. And so also contextually, I think what's important about that first rented space is that we literally were moving from venues that were either donated or that we were paying minimal fees for, taking in, people could attend our classes through donating funds, or I don't know, maybe we sold like $5 drop-in classes or something like that. But all of the donations that we took in from those classes that's what we used to quote unquote move into this new home, right?
Right. Because at the time, Cappy had another job.
I had another job.
So that's
that it
what
was
you
not
were
making
living
a
off
lot
of.
of money.
You were a part-time video director, editor.
I gave myself the title of director of video production
Okay.
because it was just me.
For your church at the time.
Yeah, I did it all.
Yeah. And you were still married. So you were living off of those funds.
I had $1,200 a month coming in with that gig.
And I think you were doing like Dave Ramsey's envelope system, weren't you?
I gave myself $20 a week of fun money.
You weren't having much fun.
I'm going to a matinee today.
Hey, you know what I do? Go to Panera. That's
You know
what
what I
this
would
is.
do? Eat a lot of froyo. That's what
That's
you're
what we
doing. You
did.
could do that once a week for 4 weeks for $20.
Yeah.
Wait,
What were you-
$20 a week?
A week?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
heard a month. Okay.
Oh, no, a week.
Okay.
Of fun money.
To say, let's not forget that 20 a week is still not very much.
Yeah.
I think that 20 a month, that you could have all kinds of fun for 20 a
Get
week.
$5 a week or $20 a month.
That is how
You
the
can
math
go to Jack in the
Okay,
Box
but
and
you-
get a meal.
You made that own budget for yourself, right?
Did I? Did I have a say in the budget?
I'm asking.
You sound a little bit British. Did I?
So your at the time husband said you get 20 a week.
I don't know if it was a
Did you
joint
both
planning
get 20?
session. I think there was more 20s in his envelope than mine. If I had to guess,
Yeah, I do remember you saying you would often take money.
he would take money out of my
out of different
envelope.
things.
Well,
Move
and
it
then you're
around.
forced to well, then can I have fun with you?
Nope.
You have more fun money than I
That's
do.
your own fun money. You are having more fun than I am.
I mean, did that count for like going out and eating, or were you
There
like,
was
no,
a-
you're paying from your money
Yeah,
this time?
I'd have to go back. I have them locked in my brain. There were different categories, and each category was like,
Oh, I remember the envelope system.
And the server. Separate checks? Okay.
You got it this week? Okay, I'll get it next week.
I don't know if it actually addressed the issue was we needed to make more money.
Right. Well, I appreciate the spirit and the effort
Yeah.
of the envelope.
Yes. What? Yeah.
If I were you, I would have been calling my parents about every damn week asking for more money for myself.
Here's what I'm getting at. We all, in some way, shape, or form, whether it was easier or harder for each of us, but we're able to teach and build Refit without taking income from Refit.
Correct.
For many
Yes.
For a
years.
very long time.
For a very long time.
I was able to take that $20 and hide it in a drawer and put it towards refit. No, I'm just kidding.
Which is why it was a hobby.
Right.
None of us depended on any of that income
Right.
to sustain life.
Yeah. I do think to qualify as a job, you do have to get paid to do it.
Yes.
Otherwise, it's a volunteer.
Well, then in that case, I'm still volunteering, guys. Yeah. No. So kidding. But yeah, so then moving to the rented studio, we had to literally put big girl panties on. You know, we had to have a budget. Emily, I remember.
I don't like the image of literal big girl panties.
Well, that's a mommy phrase. It's a mommy term.
Big girl pants.
Yeah. But I remember, Emily, you did some math and told us how many actual members we had to have in order to keep the studio afloat. Do you
It
remember?
was 63,
63.
paying $30 a month. And I looked, our first rent was $18.50. And
Okay.
it did go up to $22.50 by the time we were done.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gosh, for that crap hole.
Well, let's not forget who wanted to stay there.
Well,
Add on
we'll
another
get
building.
there.
Remember when you said that? Oh my God.
We'll get there. We'll
We
get
have
there,
all
guys.
this parking lot space.
Y'all,
Yeah.
the crickets. Remember the crickets?
Oh my gosh, it's
the
still
smell
in my nose.
They would just die in there
Yeah.
and just
when you moved that mat on the back, that's where
they
they
just
all
all
lived.
lived. Oh,
Man.
behind the couch too.
We did a lot with a little. It was a very humble abode. I mean, anybody that has purchased their first home and has grown into their now forever home, you're gonna look back on that first home and shudder. You're gonna think like, how did we ever live there? How did we do that? And yeah, that's true for us. You know, how did we do it?
We made it very homey. I
We
remember
did.
being very proud of it. I know we're like joking about all the things we didn't do well.
Yeah.
But I remember you went to like Marshall's and you got the things for the bathroom.
I was gonna say the same thing. The chandelier.
The chandeliers.
Oh, I forgot about that.
The little thing that hung on the door that was like a chalkboard, and even just the little accessories. I remember, y'all, we redid the countertop in the bathroom. We did that tile, and we thought we were fancy.
Oh, but it wasn't real tile.
Nope, it wasn't.
Sticker tile.
It was.
But it looked
real.
very nice. Very, very
It was a nice
cost-efficient.
added feature that was very hard to clean later.
Lots
But
of grout.
yeah, but we made it as homey as we could.
We're gonna have to dig out some pictures and drop them in the show notes. I say
we don't have.
Yeah, I don't know. Show notes.
Help us.
Gift of Gabby. Do we
have
have
show
those?
notes?
Kelly, we don't know. But
Well,
if we
yeah,
have,
y'all help us.
if we have show notes, that's
We don't know what
something-
those are.
Yeah, we should add that.
Okay.
Just to give a visual to people who weren't able to visit. I do remember one time we had an instructor who came and was rather unimpressed with the size of our studio. I think.
Well, because I think they already were kind of referring to it as the mothership.
Okay.
Yeah?
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, we had instructor
I
trainings.
really
We
want to
had-
say the person's name,
No,
but I
no.
won't.
No, we're not. But I think because we videoed for a lot of our YouTube videos, and you know, sometimes what you see in a YouTube video, you're imagining there's more space around what
Yeah,
you're
right.
seeing. And so when people would come to visit, they would realize, oh,
That's the wall.
She said,
This is it.
That's literally what she said. She goes, "Oh, this it?" And
With the-
something lodged in my brain that was like, we've created this community online with people who don't live here, and we don't. This home isn't big enough for them.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and the other thing, too, is that refit has always been more than the workout, right? And so
Yes.
for someone to come into our space and literally walk through the door and where they have arrived is on the workout floor.
And they're like, "Oh yeah, there was no lobby.
It was
Right.
just
like
one
you're,
large space.
you're in."
Yeah.
Yes. And so then after class, if people wanted to stay and connect, they had to just go stand outside.
There was a couch.
In
that
the-
people kind of.
But again, it was
around.
just in the room.
Right. There was no
were-
wall. There were no
there-
walls.
There was no
Yeah.
place to go other than the workout floor or the bathroom.
Right.
Right.
And
Or
the
the
bathroom is
office.
kind of a one in, one out. It's
Yeah.
not like a locker room.
We did
or a-
$2, but that last stall was questionable.
on the fritz.
Yeah. I mean, there was a little back room that held our computer where we streamed
Yeah.
things.
But I think we said
and-
like employees only. So
Yeah.
yeah,
the
it
crickets
was,
just took over.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we
So-
converted a shower into a storage room. Do you remember that?
But also leased it out as a spray tanning booth for a little bit.
We did. We had a. I don't think
Innovative. We were
didn't
innovative.
make that.
That's how
person
you
pay
make
rent.
money.
We didn't.
50 a month, you can have it.
$50. We made money off that deal
Listen, we had to have that experience.
for sure.
You have to do that so that you know what you do and don't want when you get to build the house that
Right.
you're forever home. And I don't do you guys remember what precipitated the decision where we were like, we've got to move out of here?
Well, on a very practical level, we were at a point of having to renew the lease.
Okay.
yeah.
And it was either like a year to year and cost was going up
Yeah.
our
or
extension
like
wasn't
commit
favorable.
to, yeah.
And then I think we ran the numbers. You know, being the math geniuses we are.
We being one of or both of y'all.
And
I didn't run any numbers.
She walks them.
I just ran.
And I don't know what made us feel like that space was not enough anymore.
Right, because we weren't like moving to a wait list only. You know, it wasn't like we were having over 60 people in class because that was kind of our capacity was
I
at
think
that
it was
60.
the larger refit community. Recon was growing, our annual event with our refit community. And I think it was when people would come in from out of town, they were like, you know what they were like?
well, we could not host them.
We couldn't.
We physically did not have the space for them.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing too was officing out of
That was
a separate
it.
location.
That was it. That's what it was.
We were paying two
rents. And
Yes.
the amount that we were paying, it was like, okay, when it broke two grand a month and it was like $22.50, and then the renewals were like $23.50, $24.50,
Yes.
$25.50, and it kept going up. And then we were paying $1,000 a month for
Yes.
the office space downtown. The projection there was, well, for X amount more, we could actually have an 11,000 square foot building.
Right. And have an
and own it.
investment.
And own it.
Exactly. Right.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's
what
it.
it was.
So again, contextually to bring everybody back, if you weren't with us at the time, we had our studio on Richland Drive, but when we also had the need for business offices, we rented an apartment downtown, literally on the same floor as Katherine's apartment. It was also, Emily was still traveling with baseball, so she was kind of here, half here in certain seasons. Katherine and I were working out of her literal apartment in her second bedroom. But then as we started adding on staff members, we hired a few part-time people. We hired Erin as our first full-time employee. You ended up coming back home.
Yeah, because
for
when
good.
we hired Erin, that was
Right
about my first full year in Waco.
Yeah, so we had to get this other office space, and the logical thing was for us to just, rent an apartment downtown. So that rent plus the studio.
And both were coming to a head. The studio was increasing rent, and then that office space wasn't a forever deal. Remember, they were like, you can have it for like a year, and then it would be in like 2 years.
Yeah,
but
it
then
is
they
a
were like,
residential building.
Yeah, they weren't supposed
aren't-
to be leasing it to a business.
Yeah.
So that had a timer on it.
Yeah.
I did love that office, though. It was really fun.
It was.
It was
cool.
fun. Had a
Yeah.
kitchen.
Yeah.
We have a kitchen now.
Well, in 2017 was it was a hard year. Like I can remember it being a very emotionally hard year.
Yeah.
It was a really great fiscal year for Refit.
Well, 2017 and 2018 was like the peak that we've
so it's
never
like-
seen again. But
right. So it's like, man, we're
We're
on the
doing
up and
well.
up.
We're doing well.
Let's go
Yeah.
buy a building.
Yeah, and looking back, y'all, we bought that building at a
Oh, steel.
yes.
yeah,
Which
it was
I'm
before
grateful.
the Magnolia effect had really hit downtown. So things hadn't really bubbled over in terms of price gouging
Demand.
So we were able to get that. And, I do want to say, Katherine, you really were at the helm of finding locations, working with realtors, getting all
Securing
the
grants.
Oh my
and-
gosh, getting all the engineering surveys that we needed to have. The
Glad that stuck out.
yeah.
As a thing to be grateful for.
well, I
Something
mean,
with like oil under the ground, making sure the land was safe.
Gosh, the environmental survey.
Environmental.
The
meeting with the architects, finding designers. I mean, you really put that whole thing on your back. And was it because you were gone a lot? Were you gone or just?
During that 2017 when the building was purchased and renovations began, that was Tommy's last season.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we were in Canada basically.
Yeah. And I was here, but
Northern New York.
yeah, so you were physically gone, you were doing all the work, and I was intermittently excited and then often the wet blanket on the whole thing. Yeah. Admittedly so. It was, in some ways, that season of the process of purchasing the building and then the renovations that happened after the purchase, that season was like super exciting, for us in terms of like our business trajectory. But I think emotionally for
Right.
the three of us, it was probably one of the thinnest places we've ever been. I think Emily coming off the heels of Tommy retiring from the baseball career for 10 years. That last year, maybe not,
Just that final season. Like that summer and fall, winter.
was bad for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You specifically.
Yeah.
You with two little boys, and you came home and tried to quit Refit.
Twice.
Because I took a lot, I'm not going to say out on y'all, but like that was where I felt like I could do something about my anger and sadness.
Sure. You're
And so
in that moment, you're looking for what can change to give me normalcy and happiness again. And what can't change is your family.
Right.
What can't change is the fact that you're a mom to two little boys and that you're married to a baseball player. But you know what? You can change how much you work, when you work, if you work. So I get it. She came home and was like, hey, I need to talk to you guys. I want to quit. And we were both like, I'm sorry. You are contractually bound to this. So no, figure it out. Do what you need to do, but you ain't leaving this table.
And then 3 days later, tried to quit again. I don't know if you remember that.
What was that?
We had a double quit. It was like a yeah.
I
I
was
was
like, no, I really do mean it.
and we were like, anyway.
We're breaking up. No, you're not. Okay,
I
I really
remember
mean
the
it.
second
Yeah,
conversation.
you, like-
I remember the first one. I was a little like the Tin Man from the
The Wizard of Oz.
Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
Yes. I don't really remember a whole lot of it because I wasn't actually there.
Right. No,
and so
totally.
like mouth was moving, but insides were
Yeah, diarrhea.
obsolete.
Yeah,
No, I
Um,
think she was void of anything on the inside.
Yeah.
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 It was just like, I'm gonna say this.
Already all kind of drained out. But I don't remember the second conversation.
I know it happened.
Sorry
I
for
don't
bringing it up again.
No, it was like I think it.
3 days later, she forgot she already said it. the
No,
first
we
time.
said like, hey, just like go home and think about like, let's have a minute. And then you came back and you were like, I've had a minute, and and we were like, okay, anyway.
Ignore. Moving on. What time are you coming into work tomorrow?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, gosh, think about how I'm laughing at the timeline of like, okay, guys, I'm done. To then, how much later
buy a
before it was
building.
like, all right, names on the line for a blah blah loan. Let's
yeah,
go.
like if it defaults, we pay for it. Who's excited? No,
let's renew our vows.
Yeah,
Again to
I
each
know
other.
what it is. It's a very crass analogy, but we were trying to make sure that you can't leave us. And what normal people would do is probably like get someone pregnant.
oh, normal people. That's what
We can't get you pregnant. I can't put a ring on
That's
your
what
finger.
normal people do, is to get other people pregnant. Just so you know.
Just not manipulative.
Baseline is just pregnant.
I'm sorry. It's the only story I know personally. But yes. We can't get you pregnant. We can't put a ring on your finger. We can't force you to
Right.
stay. So,
So
let's just contractually
let's just
bound you
to
financially.
a building.
Hurry up and write a contract.
No, I do think that I remember you in that moments, and I remember thinking to myself, like, you aren't who I know you to be.
Right.
And that's what I wanted you to know. Like this decision that you're making is not from the Emily I know.
correct.
You are exhausted, you're overwhelmed. Y'all are trying to figure out what's next, and when someone's that way, it's very hard to go, this isn't the time to make these decisions, Emily. But instead it was like, hey, we know you, and like we're gonna still be here,
Right.
and
Yeah.
we're not gonna go anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was
I
Nicole
kinda-
making the decisions, not Emily.
It was Nicole Lindsay.
Yeah. Contextually, Emily's middle name is Nicole. She's always talked about that as her alter ego, kind of like the dirty version of Emily, like the mean bad girl. So
Nicole was calling the
Nicole
shots
was
that
calling
day.
the shots. She was. But I do see it as, and that has been a classic example that we've all encountered over our 10 plus years of friendship together is there are moments where one of us is drowning and we're letting go, and the other two have to each grab an arm and just say, hey, you can kick and you can flail and you can cry and all the things, but we're not letting go. Like, you can't see it for yourself right now, so we got you. Do what you need to do, but we're just going to keep holding on until you resurface. I know we did that, Catherine, with your divorce, weathering that storm with you. I think y'all do it for me daily, just because of the emotional train wreck that I am. But, that is what we do for each other. And I think those things have been so instrumental because that's what we know to do as a community.
Right.
So then you put that moment of grief that we had last week in the midst, and, all of us wanted to deal with or respond to that trauma in different ways. And we just had a community that held on to us and just said, we will not let go. Y'all do what y'all need to do, grieve how you need to grieve. We got you. We're here. We're supporting you. So
Yeah.
I kind of love the oxymoronic aspect of that purchase of that building, that it was on the heels of such a potential fracture that then got very quickly cemented, and not just like caulked, but like filled in, like that crack in the cement got filled with more cement. Like a foundational choice was made to step into this new level of business ownership. And with it came, a lot of added responsibility. And even in the midst of that decision, which was the right decision, I mean, I will raise my hand and say I was the holdout. It was not a unified decision. When we went in to sign the lease on that paper,
When we went in to sign the not lease.
the note.
Yeah.
What do you call it?
Yeah, the note.
To purchase the building.
Yeah. Yes.
It was not my finest moment.
Yeah.
I don't think I said a word to either of you guys.
We
I
didn't
don't-
hold up I bought this house and smile.
Sold!
No,
that didn't happen.
No.
We didn't all throw our keys in the air and cheer.
I remember having wine, like I had champagne at the table.
And you're like,
And I was like,
not the moment for that.
well,
Pop. Yeah. I don't think I talked to either one of you guys. I was so mad. I definitely didn't talk to the owner. I don't know that I did anything much more than just sign the paper and leave. And, you know, I think as an Enneagram 8 and just knowing myself better now, anger is always my first response. And I was angry because I was scared. And I think probably adjacent to that, there was a sense of loss of control. It's like I felt like my voice wasn't being heard in terms of what my fears were. And it was a huge risk. It still is. It's still a big risk. It's a big note. It's
the big dollars.
It's a big building that we own. And I think that for me, there are moments where I like to take risks. This just felt like a really inordinate one, and I didn't like that we weren't. What it felt like to me, we weren't all aware of the risks.
Yeah,
even though I
we
know
all
we were.
even voiced like, I'm concerned about that too. But in hindsight, what you were concerned about, we seemingly had like an answer for. You know, like you're concerned about this, but fear not. All we need are these many members, and we're going to be just fine.
Yeah.
Rather than feeling like there's any sort of a shared awareness or a shared
And
fear.
hear me say, there's nothing more you guys could have done. I mean, y'all both tried to have all the rationale conversations with me. It wasn't, that was a moment that I needed to get over myself, and I didn't know how to do it. And I remember saying the whole time, I want to be wrong about this.
Yeah.
Like, I want y'all to prove me wrong. I don't know that you can, but I want that. You know, I want to get to the end of it and be able to raise my hand and say, I was wrong. You were right. This is the move we needed to make. And so here we are. What's the date?
October 5th.
October 5th,
2023.
2023 at, what time is
12:50
it?
p.m.
12:50 p.m. I'm raising my hand to say I was wrong. Yes, cue them.
We're gonna celebrate that, right? It's okay to be wrong.
Yeah, and you guys were right, and it was exactly what we needed, and it precipitated the kind of growth and the elevation and the experience that we wanted for our community. And yeah, I'm sorry you, Catherine, felt alone in that. I know even to this day that's still a thing that can kind of get thrown into the ring when emotions are thin and, you know, we're all trying to like defend ourselves. I know carrying that alone must have been a really hard thing to do. But I also hope that 5 years in, you're able to be really proud of that because you essentially did it by yourself, you know, with minimal input from Emily and myself. And you get to walk every day into a place that literally has your fingerprints all over it. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for saying that, Angela. There are many fingerprints. Some from construction workers and some from my heart.
Okay, no, we'll turn it off. No, yeah, thank you for saying that. I know that is hindsight's 2020, and I think that it's hard. You know, I didn't make perfect steps there by no means. Neither did the contractors
or the project managers,
yeah,
or the subs.
right.
You know, every project's gonna.
Yeah, I do look at that building as one of the things I'm most proud of.
Yeah,
that we've done, and
As you should. Yeah.
and it's not a building; it's the people in the building. It's the touches. You know, I remember, you know, the phrase that we would use to describe the relationship that we had at that time would be disagree and commit. Disagree and commit. Disagree and commit. I definitely felt the disagree from you. I was concerned if the commit would happen, right? Because I know you and I believe you. Like the things when you say the words, I'm like, I believe you. And I remember there were some issues. They had demoed everything, and you know, there was no walls. And I was looking at the plans and I just didn't feel right. We didn't have a conference room drawn on the plans. And I wasn't confident in my ability to make that decision alone. And I was a little nervous to be like, you know,
Hey, Angela, do you think you could help me with the building?
like I was a little nervous to make that, ask that question. But I remember asking you like, hey, I don't feel right about this. And you were like, get chalk and I'll meet you up there. And we chalked off
The bathroom.
That's what we
were
made
concerned
the
about.
bathroom bigger. We
Oh my gosh, it was so tiny.
It was so
The first
tiny.
one, it was like a hallway.
Yeah,
bathroom.
this is a sad bathroom.
Yeah.
We made a conference room, and you did all these things in there, and redid the plans and showed the guys, and they executed it. But that's just one of those moments I look back on that I'm like, that's the definition of disagree and commit. It wasn't like you were like, I'm so excited, probably.
Yeah.
But you were able to, and then now look at the space. So you know what people say they love?
The
bathroom.
Well, the locker room is my favorite part.
Right.
Yeah. It's the place I
Yeah.
beeline to show people first.
Yeah.
Well, we had signed the note. So now we got to make it work. So I can definitely get behind that. But yeah, I think my favorite part of this space is I do really love the hallway.
Yeah.
With the banners hanging down. I don't actually even know where I saw that idea or how I came up with it. Or maybe it wasn't even my idea. In my mind, it is.
No, you said, I remember what you said. You said, I want a life-size pom-pom.
Pom-pom, yeah.
And so then I met with John Peel, the Sticker Universe guy, and was like, how do we do this?
Yeah.
And so that's...
And I wanted these banners of affirmation so that as people were walking down the hallway, they felt like people were cheering them on for just the choice to show up for themselves. And so if you've been at the studio and you look at those banners, we sold those banners as a fundraising opportunity so that people could help with the purchase of the building. And so they've got people's names on them, but then they also were able to supply the encouragement or the cheer that they wanted. So I love that. I love every aspect of that, the walls, the stalls, the toilet paper, the banners, the exterior sign on the wall that says everybody belongs. That entire building talks to people. It champions people as they walk into the studio, as they drive by the studio. And that's what I literally wanted, those positive, empowering messages oozing from every corner of every part of our building.
Yeah.
And
And
I think we did that.
Yes, the chairs say we got your back, and there's people's names on them. When you open up the lockers, there's encouraging statement with someone's name on it who gifted that. I mean, literally, you sit down on the toilet and you look over,
Rolling with my
and it says
homies.
"Rolling with my homies." Like there's something, and those were your touches that you added, just how you added them at the old bathroom, at the old studio with a little chandelier, like
But leveled up from Marshall's.
yeah, no, but like that's what I'm saying. Like that's where it starts. And so many times people just hear the complete finished product story. They see that and they think, I can't do that. But when they hear that there were 400 crickets in a corner of a studio that made it smell like awful every day, and that was our norm, that's where the growth happened, and that's where it started. And then yes, when we were tripping along trying to figure out how to renovate the new studio, it didn't just like all become perfect.
And
Yeah.
on a budget.
On
I
a
mean, much
budget.
like the first rented studio where we did a lot of manual labor. I mean, this time we had city codes to work with, and there were things that we had to do that cost money. And yet at the same time, trying to figure out how to be as fiscally minded as possible with those decisions. And I've always said, we're the kind of team, not just the three of us, but our entire team. We can do a lot with little.
Yeah.
And I think that building is proof. Now, not to say that it did not cost a lot. It did. It does.
Still
It is.
It will.
For
It's a note.
15 more years.
20-year fixed.
Yeah. It's the biggest thing. And I know people probably often think, well, how did they do that? I bet they had their husbands. I bet they had y'all.
The answer is no.
The answer is no.
No one has invested in refit
No
No.
one's husbands.
other than,
Other than us.
other. Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we have a note from a bank, but
Yes.
yeah, we don't have like secret monies.
Yeah.
No,
I was gonna say, like doing things and making decisions of like, well, where can we cut costs? Do y'all remember choosing to leave the production room alone. What I still call it production room. Nothing gets produced in there. The
Orders.
10 for Taylor. Well, yeah, but
But a lot of
content.
trash
I know.
and
I
I think we were thinking there'd be
disorganization.
like videos in there.
Yeah, that's why we cut those windows.
Right.
Yeah.
But
We used
that
them
we
yesterday.
had our
We did for the first
Yes, I
time
was
in
gonna say
5
the
years.
Taylor
It looked
content.
good.
Yeah.
I was
great.
really happy with how that looked.
Yeah, we can just keep the wheel, the wagon there, and that can be our permanent
Yeah,
setup.
yeah,
They're
that's-
saying we needed a for real setup. There it is. No, but that we had our staff come in shifts and paint that whole room.
Yes.
Because that was a place that, well, this is a lot of wall, and this is however many thousands to pay to have paint.
It was like 10
I
grand to
painted.
paint that room or something ridiculous.
Yes,
And we were like,
and
we
so
can
then we
paint
just got our wheelies
Yeah.
and rollers.
It was like 10 grand. We're going to bring 10 people. How about
Yeah.
that?
I
We're gonna
remember-
spend $500 and paint DIY.
Yeah, though the painters were there, and you remember they came in and they like felt bad for us, and so they kept giving us their tools and be like, "This is actually how you do that." Like they kept it.
But it was such a beautiful moment to even see the people who were going to call that place home and like for
Yes.
that to kind of be there to finish it out.
Yeah.
You know, in the same way that all of our national community members were able to contribute to add those final finishing touches.
We could not have done it without the community.
Right.
Literally.
Well,
Right.
even still can't.
Right.
You know, I mean, it's the stuff that a lot of business owners don't like to talk about because
Yeah.
you always want to present like this very confident,
Everything's great.
successful.
But yeah, but we
don't
had
struggle.
the budget to get it to this point, and then because of them, we were able to present it in the way that it is now.
Yeah. And
really
and
good.
still to this day, every membership matters. Every dollars spent with us, you know, is helping keep a business up because we did not take investor funding, because we don't supplement from our husband's paychecks, you know? I mean, it literally is every month, you know, a fight to the finish to, you know, how do we make our company more profitable so we can keep these doors open, so we can continue to pay people, so we can hire to help create the infrastructure that we need to support the business. I mean, it's a hard cycle, you know, to be in from a business owner right now. But
So if you're interested in Refit on Demand, it is $9.99 a month right now. We will have a Refit app in the future. The price will jump, so you need to jump in now. refitrev.com/on-demand.
attention customers,
Yeah. No.
the doors will be closing in 2025 if you don't help us.
Yeah. I love.
Liquidation sale.
Yeah. What's that? It's always on like a.
Everything must go.
Everything must go. It's like always the store that always says everything must go.
Yes.
No, I completely agree that the community, like I think about, we had all of our instructors in the locker room on the sheetrock. I don't know if you remember, on the Hardy
they all
board.
wrote on it. Uh-huh.
We had them write just, you know, and what did Krishanta write? Do y'all remember?
I don't know. I remember
I'm gonna
the
find
the
it.
picture of her in it.
And I remember something, whatever she said, when was that? 2017, 2018? Whatever she said, I was like, that is good. I'm gonna look it up.
It probably would have been 18 because that's really when. Because if we held our first class in October of 2018, by the time there was sheetrock and all that, that was, I think, closer towards the end.
Yeah. Well, while you're looking it up, I think one of the things that I have continued to enjoy so much about the building is that, you know, when people come to Waco to visit Chip and Jo's Empire and, you know, look around the silos, REFIT fans will also make a point to stop by the studio. Some of them bypass Magnolia altogether. They just want to come see the Mothership and the HQ building. I get so much joy from the moments that I have seen, you know, husbands taking pictures of their wives in front of the Everybody Belongs wall because they think that we're closed, and being able to go out and say
like, "We
hi.
see you."
Yes. I mean, I just try to imagine, like, who do I love other than Taylor Swift enough to do things like stalk a building or go to a city to visit their offices? And, you know, it just, what? I don't, it's, after all these years, just still so mind blowing that.
Well, yesterday, I don't know if I told y'all this. I was in the office and Michelle was like, "Hey, there's somebody here from Canada," and she was in
was it the fireman?
No,
Was it the male Canadian guy that wanted a date with you?
It was a woman named
Oh.
Joy.
Same. Remember the guy from Canada?
I don't remember that.
Yes, he emailed.
Oh,
And he was like,
yes.
I only want one thing, and that is to spend a day with Catherine.
Wow. What a thing to say. That feels like a lot of pressure, fireman from...
I think
Canada.
fireman was the wrong thing, but definitely a Canadian man, which I think they're cute most of the time.
Yeah.
Very nice.
I found very nice. Very nice.
All Canadians
I'm a
are
Southern
nice.
belle. Yeah. Joy from Canada was in San Antonio for a work event.
Okay.
And forced her husband to drive to Waco.
That's not a short drive.
It is
for people
not.
that don't live in
It's
Texas. It is 3 hours.
Full 3.
And they did like Magnolia and like kind of like, you know, she's like, I had to like justify the trip. And so we kind of done some Waco things. But I just wanted to come by and just be in here. She didn't even take a class.
Wow.
And so
How does she join us?
YouTube. She found us on YouTube years ago. She did it with her daughters. Her daughter's now in high
Can
school.
she do
and
a
college.
paying something with us?
Joy, if you're listening to this.
Yeah, attention.
REFIT on demand is $9.99 a month. It's available for you. You can use the code 1 month free, Joy, and you will get 1 month free.
There you go. Joy. from
Thank you,
Canada.
Joy.
You're so nice to make the trip. Now we need for you to start giving us a little more money.
That $10 is going to go a long way, Joy.
Well, she's
adds
been
up.
a fan for years. I think it's time, much like you, force you into a contract with us, Emily. Joy, we need something more than a friendship bracelet. We need a paying
Skin.
membership.
Skin in your game.
I found the ooh,
the game.
skin in your game.
The game.
Skin in your game. I found the wall, but I can't read it because the photo's so bad. I'm gonna have to ask Crashy. She'll remember.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of
So-
love in the mothership. A lot of hands went into it. Still go into it, like you guys said. I hope that okay, I'll say being proud of it opening up was like, yeah. And remember they shut off our water like right before? We had like temp
That's right.
electricity and temp water, and they're like, we're gonna shut it off now. So we had to
Yes.
like call City of Waco, the whole thing.
Before we were about to host 125 people.
Yeah.
And then y'all, I don't know if you remember this, we got our certificate of occupancy 24 hours prior. We could not move in one piece of furniture prior to that. And then we had recon and 100 plus people, and that was wild.
But you know, all of those things, because looking back and hearing all of that, I am bewildered that we had the time, the manpower, the motivation to do it. But it just we have only ever known how to do hard things. Not by choice. It's just because we're willing to put in the time and the work and the hustle and the grit
Because of love.
because of love.
Literally. I mean, does that sound dumb? Do
I'm
you
going to
think
make a
that?
t-shirt out of it because of love.
Because of love. I don't, what does that mean?
Matthew 5:9.
More.
Blessed are the peacemakers.
For them.
There we go.
Yes.
That's it. Love. No, I do. Yes, we've done hard things because I don't think it's because of pride.
Oh gosh, no.
I don't.
Well, and I don't think
ego.
we're just like gluttons for punishment.
No, or
You
like
know?
stubborn.
Yeah,
And we're not stupid. It's not that we continue to make stupid decisions.
right.
It's
Right.
just
We don't make things hard on ourselves. I mean,
Well,
we can.
I think we could be more efficient sometimes. So if you want to work for us.
yeah.
No, but a lot of people, the ego is what drives, and that I don't think that is it. I really do think it is a love for people and to do good by the love that we've received.
Yeah. That's good.
That's what I feel.
Can you write that down? To
Okay.
do good
by the love.
by the love we received.
I got it.
I feel like that belongs maybe on an upcoming wall in the studio. I don't know. But
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. I can say from top to bottom and bottom to top, when we make decisions, the end person that we are always thinking about is what is best for our community, or how can we love, or how can we serve, or how can we make this about them. And anytime you're making decisions for the benefit or the good or to serve other people, I don't know how ego also fits in that. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Well, and you just are willing to do more, and I think there are a lot of businesses, companies, individuals that have these aspirations, but when the drive isn't strong enough, once you hit that hard thing, it is so easy to just say, never
Yes.
mind.
I'm done.
Or maybe it wasn't meant to be. Or maybe but we've always known that obstacles don't mean red flags, right? And it doesn't mean that we are wrong or chasing the wrong thing, because we know that the intention is pure and the motive is for others. And so we can keep pressing in.
Yeah.
Speaking of mothers,
What?
I don't know. I think back to 20. I'm pregnant. Oh, no.
What a segue.
Yeah, no.
You said Canadian man. And, well, guys, we did meet.
I was going to run down that road, and I'm not. Well, guys, I got a story for you. No, but just kind of back to the mothership. The moment that we opened those doors to our community in 2018 at our largest event at the time for Recon, I did not expect to feel what I felt. I remember it's like seared in my brain on stage with y'all. You
Same.
remember it too?
I remember that moment on stage. Yeah.
I just was like, this is okay.
This is it.
This is it. This is worth it. This was worth it. To see our Seattle instructors, I can see their faces. They specifically were on the front row, like and I'm like, you just got here from Seattle. You know, like I was so, and the fact we could have that many people in the room and they were looking at the walls and they were looking at the life-size pom-pom and they were opening the lock. They were just like kids in a candy store. And I thought, okay, it was worth every penny, every sleepless night, every tear, every frustrating conversation, every place of doubting ourselves. Like, okay.
You know, you hear people will talk about churches at times. They'll say phrases like, church is a building, but the people are the love. Or what's another way that they've said it? Like,
there's the church, here's the steeple.
No.
The doors, here's the people.
The church is the people.
The church
the church is not the building, it's the people.
Right.
is
right.
without walls,
Yes. Yeah. And
right? Church without walls.
Yeah.
yeah,
It's the people.
the church is the people.
Yeah.
Yes. And what I think is unique about what we've done is that we've made it both. The building is the
People.
place where people get
Yeah.
to come. And we've made sure that the building is a representation of the values and the love that we share or have for people, but then also the people that continue to step inside the building reinforce it. So it's both and. It's not just the people. We had to build a place for the people to come to experience the love that we want to share, to do good by the people who have loved us.
Yeah. And like when you think about, you know, this is a weird analogy, but like Disney World, I grew up watching that, but when you go, different experience.
Yep.
And I think where the building, the mothership, was created by those people before they got there. That's what I'm like, whoa, guys. Like, this is because of you.
Yeah.
This exists because of you, you know?
Cue Celine. Because of you.
Kelly Clarkson?
Oh, that's right.
Because of you, I never lived.
But yeah, you know, it wasn't us going and taking out the loan, signing the note to build something with these big dreams that all these people that we didn't know yet would come.
Right. If you build it, they would come. No.
Right.
Other way around.
Yeah.
They're
They have to want to
They're
come,
here.
so you have to build it
We
for them.
we got to do something because they're
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
And I think just to kind of turn the corner here and wrap this episode up of the mothership, I think about how poignant I'm processing here. I don't have it all fully formed in my mind, but when we have a person and a moment like Kathy who returned to the mothership to experience the joy and the love that this community held for her and that she was a part of creating, and to be able to have those moments with her, even the final one with her, I think is such a full circle moment that, you know, we can on good days always talk about the the joy and the laughter and the love and yay, that works. That's what community is. But I think the real test of community, just as it was for our friendship, is to be able to weather the moment of incredible, tremendous grief and pain and see how that community rises to support one another and each other in that moment. Not that I'm at the place yet where I can say, oh, I'm thankful that it happened. I think it's still too fresh. It's still too new, still too traumatic for a lot of us. But I'm already seeing our community in a very different way because of the way that they have held that pain for us and the way that they've held on to each other in the midst of it. Like that, we can talk all day long about, you know, what does it mean to be a successful business? Is that a financial number? Is that because you hit goals? Is it because you have an efficient team? But where we've started, and I believe where we end, the success of our business will always be, how did we impact people's lives? How did we create a sense of belonging in joy and pain? How did we tend and care for one another? How did we honor our customers? I hate to say that, our community members. And have we always been motivated by the right things? And I think 10 plus years, the answer is yes. And it will continue to be. I don't ever see us turning into something we never intended or wanted to be in the first place. It's too connected to who we are as friends and as people. And that's the only reason I keep showing up after 10 years, because, you know, the numbers aren't there to say, yeah, keep going. But the people are.
Yeah.
That's right. Well, on that note, thanks for listening. To another episode of Finding Fit.
Yeah. Thanks for letting us unpack all of that for you guys. I know that we haven't been very regular with our episodes, but we love sharing our stories, just like we love sharing the Imperfect 10 journey with you guys, those of you who were part of that storytelling email experience. And I just want to ask this of our listeners and our REFIT community members. You know, one way that you can help spread the REFIT love is by doing very simple things: liking, sharing, commenting, forwarding this episode to a friend, but always just expressing the REFIT love in the ways that you can. So we want to thank you for listening. Here's to season. What season is this?
3.
3.
I think it's episode 3
of season 3. Okay.
Yeah. We
And
took a
just-
little bit of a
and
break.
You are invited to the Mothership.
Yeah.
Whether you
Come on.
ever actually work out with us, or maybe you just enjoy podcasts and this is the only side of us that you know, let us hug you in your life and look you in the eye and thank you.
Whether you're a Canadian fireman or a Canadian mom
Name Joy.
named Joy, we would love to meet you and see you at the Mothership.